Okay, I think we've waited long enough. I thank everyone for returning. I did blow through the first round of slides pretty quickly. My apologies. And if you missed the opening couple of slides, I do encourage, if you got a laptop, please try to follow along. I think the best way to learn is to try it yourself. Make sure everyone can hear me. Everyone pretty much over there, I guess. Can you all hear me? Unfortunately, can you see the screen? There's not much. Oh, is there another screen over there? Yeah. Don't know if there's anything they can do. So we got two screens, I guess, at least. As I said, please follow along. Try it yourself. The whole point of this session is working way through some of this capture the flag, or I don't know if you want to call it war games, that will test your PowerShell knowledge and experience and encourage you to learn more. Having said that, the PowerShell is not running here or there. It's running somewhere else. So all you need is an SSH client, as I got up here on the screen. If anyone's ready, I like to use PuTTY. I've also used this thing called MOBA Xterm. I'm sure dozens more out there, so pick your favorite. And I do want to note, if you have Linux or Mac or Unix, you can still follow along because it's SSH, so you're connecting to the box. You do not need to have Windows on your box. All right, I'll let slip right there. If anybody has seen this under the wire, this may not be all that exciting for you. This is simply a website out there. Some folks are putting up these puzzles. They're available for free. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not getting any kickbacks, I swear. I'm running into folks who are writing software that I've mentioned, but I have no idea who's behind this. Found it a few years ago. Found it was kind of fun. If you want to learn more about PowerShell, here's some puzzles to get you to work at it. That's a snapshot of the web page to get you started. You see across the top after the home, there is the War Games. That's the page you're going to want. So today, I'll give you a few moments, help you get set up if you're setting up, and then we'll start talking about these puzzles and coming to answers for them. I don't know how quickly we'll get through this. I'm not trying to get through it quickly, though. The idea is to do some research if anybody's actually trying yourself. And I do have some hints. I guess these slides, I am used to being in environments where we often provided the slides beforehand, so I guess it's not happening here. But if you get a copy of the slides, I've got some hints at the back. If you seem to be stuck, I can actually bring them up on the screen here. I tried to make them subtle. You might have noticed those light gray slides toward the back there. Just in case we hit those by accident, I didn't want to give away the surprise ending. We've got some screenshots here of PuTTY, the configuration. If anybody's not familiar, we can talk about that if anybody needs help. If you didn't know, in PuTTY there, I can provide the name or the IP for the host, and that's what you're looking for, century.underthewire.tech, standard port 22 for SSH. The bottom screen is just more configuration. I like to log things whenever I'm doing SSH, so there's a way I can probably bring up a larger image if you want to see it. Just shout out, give me hands up or whatever if you want to see it. But that's a way you can set up a log file. You can give it a date and time and the name of the server. So you can have a number of log files and you can remember which ones they were, what dates, and what box you were SSHing into. Host name. There are a few different host names. We are going to focus on Century. I was gonna say right here. The Wargame page you see there's Century, Cyborg, Groot, Oracle, Trebek, and then there's one offline currently. I was going to start us with Century. I think that's supposed to be the most straightforward. I think it's 15 levels. So if you want to see the web page, go to www.underthewire.tech. If you want SSH, it was century.underthewire.tech. I remember right. When you go to the website, it gives you some hints. The answer is always lowercase, and the answer is always take the one or more parts of it and just put them all together, lowercase, include any dots that are in the answer, in the part of the answer. You'll see that in a moment. Include any dashes, but no spacing, no extra characters. You do not add anything. So the goal of the first level is log in. You would go to their Slack channel. I'm not going to expect people to do that. Even if you got Slack, it might take a few moments. So here's the clue if you want to play any of these games. The first level is the name of the box with 1, and the password is the name of the box with the number 1. So Century, your username is Century1. Your password is Century1. You will want to log in because you'll need to be on Century1 as user Century1 to get the answers to these puzzles and move on to the next level. So any of you following along, go ahead. I'll give you a few moments. Yeah, those are all. Yeah, let's see. I'll start this. If you're not familiar, you're looking at Putty right now. Here's my configuration, which I showed just a moment ago. Yeah. If you got it wrong, you'll know pretty much instantly. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Did I spell it wrong? If you got it right, you now have a prompt. You'll notice your user right there in the prompt level itself. It says users Century1. All right, question in the back? The IP actually had to check if you just type in the name, century.underthewire.tech. DNS usually saves the day. Can you not give it a name? You have to have the IP? Because I can probably get it for you if you need it. Right. All right, so yes, if you all are not familiar with PowerShell, you'll have to take a few moments. But if you want to get to level 2, it wants the build version. Not the PowerShell version. Now, there's no quick hint I could give you on this one. The web is your friend. Google, Start Page. I think Brave has a page. Start Page is trying to be one of those private search engines. Have you not heard of that one? Don't track you in particular. Bing, Yahoo, whichever your favorite one is. Just might have to go out there and type in build version for PowerShell. There are probably a few different ways of getting there. Oh, and I didn't have the link here. I found one good page from a website, Petri, Petri.com, I think is a decent site. They've got a number of good articles. Again, I have no connection. I don't know this person or these people, but you'll probably find there are various sites you go to again, and Petri is one of the ones. But there is this thing called PS version table. If anybody wants to take a moment and look it up. Once again, showing off that tab complete. I'm going to keep reminding you all of that. I don't know if people use that a lot. I find it invaluable. The Windows world and other places as well. If you think you're onto something, start typing in, start pressing tab. If there's a match, it'll bring you right to it. If not, it'll start cycling you through possible matches. I see squinting. Hold on. Let me see here. Yeah, I try to make it large enough, but depends on how big the projection is. What am I looking for? I'm looking for. Do I have to start over? There we go. What am I looking for? Can I not change that? Sure, I can change that. There we go. That better? A bit better? So I'm not going to rush anybody. Try it yourself. Do your own searching. But here's a quick way to get to the answer for this one. And as I mentioned, and I think they mentioned on the webpage, you don't want that PS version. You want the build version. So here's another clue. You probably want to open up your favorite notepad and maybe do some typing so you don't have to do too much back and forth. Type it in once, cut and paste it. And if I remember right, that was what you needed, just the build version. So we'll start a new session. I'm going on to level 2, so the user would be Century 2. Century 3, Century 4, on and on and on. And this is where I mentioned type it in exactly as you see it. Okay, I don't have big fat fingers. Of course, once you move on to the next level, you can let the other levels go. You don't need to keep them. You're going to see that we start to use those PowerShell commands I described in the last session. This is a two-part answer. It wants the PowerShell equivalent of wget. I imagine people here know wget or curl. That's a similar utility, different name. Okay. And it wants the name of the file on the desktop. I mentioned that nice get command, shortened to GCM if you want. Oh, yeah, that should be. There we go. Don't worry, don't bother scrolling through that. Don't need to. GCM space. wget might be an alias. Yep, it's just there on the bottom. Type in GCM and wget. And it tells you the actual command, the actual function. Invoke web request. That's the first part of your answer. You may use GCM quite a lot, but probably not as much as child item, which is what we're really going to be using pretty much every level from here on out. Okay, so invoke web request, all lowercase, but nothing else. Don't take anything out, don't put anything in. And let's see then the other part of that was what the name of the file on the desktop. Okay, those of you familiar with the DOS world know dir. Those familiar with the Linux world know ls. Take your pick. Or the actual PowerShell statement. Get child item. Don't be confused. It's not the length you want, it's the name. I guess they're perhaps trying to be a little tricky there. So you have your invoke web request, 443. I'm trying not to go too fast and rush people. I see people are looking back up here. We'll continue on. Count the number of files on the desktop. You could list the entire screen and manually count them. But I think this is a good time to mention some of the internals. PowerShell likes to work with things in objects. I think everybody has heard of objects, object-oriented languages and object-oriented operating systems, but PowerShell likes to work in objects. So objects often have properties. I have no idea if there's actually 875, 972, 996. Doesn't matter. What I can do got to adjust the screen here. Hold on just a moment. Well, okay, that's best. I put it in parentheses, which basically lets PowerShell know I'm treating it like an object. Now, I can reference one of its parameters, one of its values. So there are actually 123 things in this folder. Files, I think it's only files, but I believe it would just be the count of everything in that current folder. So 123. Let's try this. I shouldn't go off script. Yeah, that's what I thought. Again, tab complete, tab completion, whichever way you like it. If you want to know what other things you could perhaps take a gander at, as we have an object, these are various values that object may be able to track. Now you notice we've got the opening parenthesis. It would be requesting some bit of information, some kind of value, a parameter inside there. If I were to press enter now, I should just get an error message. Oh, that's right. It prompts me for more information. Okay, that's a good pause, perhaps. Double greater than like that. It wants more information. It's not hung up or anything like that. It's just waiting. It needs a parameter or maybe more. Of course, Control C and you're out. Is that me? That isn't me, is it? Okay. Not trying to embarrass anybody, but yeah. I wonder if my phone was going off. Okay. Then moving on to the next one. This should be Century 4 now. Enjoy this while it lasts. That is your shortest password. It wants the password is the name of the file within a directory that has spaces. Spaces used to be the killer for DOS in the years ago. It's not a problem anymore. You're going to be using get child item. Probably should just take a moment and change my I'll hit it once again, that nice tab complete. It will help you. There's your folder. Can you open me? LS, DIR, get child item, whichever. press that tab. It tries to help you when it can. Now it's surrounded the spaces. And there's the file. I know a lot of these early ones are probably pretty boring and dull, but they're just trying to introduce people to PowerShell. See lots of heads are down. That's good, I think. Either that or they're falling asleep. Let me know if I need to explain anything or slow down. Okay, it wants to know the short name for the domain. Well, I gave you a nice clue there right on the slide, and if you were here at the previous presentation, PowerShell offers one place to go to get a lot of information about the current environment. Anyone wants to do any searching, I'll take a moment. I'll give you guys a moment. If you didn't catch my first presentation, it's represented with ENV, environment. Profile information, app data, where it finds files, program files, x86, w64, computer name. And right down here near the bottom, the user domain. I believe it wanted the short version, it said, not the longer one. So under the wire. Oh, that's right. That was step one. That was part one. Part two, I forgot. My apologies. The name of the file on the desktop. Again, ls, dir, get child item, whichever. Now I would like to know the number of folders. Doesn't seem too bad, but I'm not going to count them by hand. A few more than last time. Now, I believe that is the correct answer, but here's another one for you. What about subfolders? We can go inside the parentheses, so it's treating it like an object. The result is an object, so we can go inside those parentheses, and we can ask it to, did I spell it right? Recurse, which means check any subfolders as well. I think if I found out in this case, it is the same. So there are nothing below these folders. So your answer should be 197. Everyone trying at home, keeping up? Am I going too fast? I can slow down. I can pause. Oh, get child item, directory ls, get child item. And then if you use the tab complete, because is this what you mean, getting to level 5, or you mean getting the next one? When you're on level 5 trying to get to level 6? Yeah, env. Like for example, dir space list, basically, if you will, env colon. It's a lot like the old DOS drives, if you will. So dir space env with a colon. It is a little confusing sometimes, like the PS version table, that was an object, so you just put a $sign in front of it and you can get it that way. But some of these things from the previous presentation, env is treated like a drive, if you will. And same thing with the Hive, the registry. You could type in dir space hkcu and list out your current user registry right there, like it was a drive letter, like it was drive C or drive F or whatever. So in this case, you want dir space env colon. After the colon, if you want, sorry, I didn't point that one out. What I can do, this one stopped. There. Lots of flexibility. So here's the environment. Well, what you can do again, maybe I pointed this out, maybe I didn't. Anyway. Use that tab complete again. If you want, you can just get that one thing. Or you can find out what things begin with user and just start, again, cycling through them. These are the different options, items, objects that begin with the word user. I should probably, let's see, is this a good time to, okay, maybe with the S. One thing to be careful of when using tab complete, if I give it an S, like you look at just above on the screen a little bit, you see there are a number of things that begin with the letter S. If you give it the letter S, it'll start, yep, SSH client, working its way down, system drive, system root, back up to SSH client. If I happen to do something like SY, it's going to skip all the SSHs because that doesn't begin SY. So you're going to get system drive, system root. If you start typing something and you don't seem to be finding what you're looking for, maybe try backing up a letter. Maybe you went in the wrong direction. You spelled it wrong. And if I do system D, I'm only going to get system drive. I thought there was another system. There we go. System drive, system root. And once again, helps you out. You need those quotes when you're going to have some of these other characters like parentheses. They're allowed, but they may interfere with some processing. So put them in the quote like that, and you won't have any trouble. And it did that for me. All right, I think we were working on 6, getting up to 7. If I remember right, we got our answer at 197, I think, 197. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other confusion? The password is the README file, is in the README file, somewhere in the contacts, desktops, documents, downloads, favorites. All right, we're probably going to use that getChildItem or ls or dir again. And I gave you a clue from the last puzzle. So let's see how easily it works. Nothing here. And where one? Oh, because I'm on the desktop. My bad. Okay, you see what I did there? I'm on the desktop. I don't want to be on the desktop. That's why I didn't find what I was looking for. There are a bunch of folders, and there's going to be a README in there somewhere. Now let's try. All right, it goes by pretty quick. Let's see if I can scroll this gently. There's my command about midway on the screen now. So it gave me the folder we just saw a moment ago. And in downloads, there seems to be a few files, a README and a README 2. So here's where we can use tab complete and so the cat command, like the type command of DOS days, display whatever on the screen, display the contents of that item or all those items. You can cat lots of files all at once. Display them on the screen. So yes, if you're not familiar with what I mean, I believe I should have been able to go like that. Of course, it doesn't tell me which file was which, where it found that string, but basically opened the first file, dumped anything, went to the second file, dumped anything, went to the third file, dumped anything. And there we have our next answer, I believe. Everyone following along that wants to follow along? Ah, yeah, these start to get more fun. They're a little more complex. How many unique entries within the file on the desktop? Okay, well, we have pretty much reached the end of my presentation. I wasn't sure how fast we'd get here. I apologize if I rushed through it, but we still have a few more minutes. So I think it is time for me. I did this once before. I think it's time for me to start doing some research. Because I'm not sure how I did this last time. This looks very promising. I think that's about the way I remember. First would be a good example of how you might script it if you wanted to use this function again and again, so it's a little more sophisticated. The second one is what you're basically doing. Take your data. You're familiar with the pipe symbol? Basically means take it and send it to the next thing as input. That would be the sort object. In this case, it should be sorting them numerically. I imagine its default will be from lowest, the 1, to the highest, 4, 6, 4, 3. And then piping it again. If you're familiar with the Unix world, you know you can keep piping command to command to command all the way down the line. So what do we have? We have unique. Too impatient. It was getting there for me. Now that will just give you the list. So once again, those who, oops, I got to scroll it, not just hit return. Let's go back. LS told me there was one file on the desktop. That's probably what I want to work with. Cat will take the contents and do something with it. In this case, I'm piping it into the sort object commandlet. Taking that output, sending it into get unique. If I had stopped at the second pipe, it would simply put it on the screen for me. Then I pass it into get unique, which simply removes any duplicates and still puts it onto the screen for me. So I believe we should still be able to put it all into the parentheses, saying we want to treat this like an object, and parentheses around my entire statement. I want the results to be held as an object in memory. That object has properties. One of them is the number of. And perhaps now you start to appreciate scripting and how you can add these things all together. I grew up in the DOS world, you might say, but soon after I started getting into Unix, and that's one thing I really did like about the Unix world, is lots of little utilities that did perhaps one thing and did it very well, but you could build lots of fun tools by sending from A to B to C to D. And there's something of an example. The cat command to the sort object command to the get unique command. It's good to see that available in the Windows world because, boy, if you all are my age, you remember Command Com, that was pretty basic. Command exe was not much better. So you learned programming languages. You learned how to use whatever you had at your fingertips, like BASIC or Pascal or C or something like that. Heck, even assembly, if you needed to. Everybody following along so far? That should be the number of unique entries within the file on the desktop. So that's all we need. Okay, well, it's 2:44. We'll take a look maybe at one more level because I want to give, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but there will be another presentation, so I don't want to take up all the time. What are we up to, 9? Thank you. Because I know it's a little confusing when you look at my slides. I got a screen for, say, 7, and I'm saying getting to 8, but I thought that was the best way to word it because that's the point. You're on 7. You're trying to get data to get to level 8. But if you look on the screen, that may be a little confusing. My prompt is for level 8, but I'm trying to get to level 9, so here I am logging. Yeah. I lose my place. Anybody on the website? Give me a moment. I don't think I got the screenshot for that one. Okay. The 161st word. All right, well, first, let me ask any questions, anything I need to go back on? Would anybody like to see anything over again? Yes. Yes. So are you talking about like executables or commands that are built in? Well, if you're looking for anything that's internal, that's where you could use something like get alias or get command. Were we at my first talk? Because we talked about that briefly. Okay. If you're looking for executables, I think it would really, I guess the short answer is no. The longer answer is give me a moment. Oh, okay. Are you looking for something in PowerShell or are you looking for something on the box? He was talking about get help, and that would help you. Yeah. About the only thing I can think of would be. That's right. It won't. Yeah, I'm here with it. So. Well, let me go through. This is their system, so I don't know how far it would let me go. Okay, interesting. I don't think I've tried this. Okay, I've gone up to the root. Well, you know, you've got the recursive ability. That's about the closest thing I think you can come to. Is I can up here, perhaps look where you said S for split. So obviously I'd want to control this paging, but here are the things that begin with S. and it'll show you where they are. And every time red text goes by, that's a folder I can't get into. So S, too many things. Well, let's try that again. Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, the short answer is no. The longer answer would be you can try to find it. So
you can also type get member, so you'll see all member functions and methods that are available on objects.
now I think that's if you're inside of PowerShell is what you're talking about, things in PowerShell. But I think you were looking for things that might not be.
No, I was actually very comfortable with my
I would agree with that. It does change. It's much more powerful than the old command exe. So yes, it was a learning curve. But that's why I was pointing out the things like, get module, as he mentioned. So I don't know if you saw that, but this will list everything. Get command. Get module is exactly that, but get command. That is everything that is available to you right now inside of PowerShell. So you might want to limit it. It's checking, and see there's split path. That's not what you're looking for. But you can do things like that if you're talking about inside of PowerShell, things that are available when you have PowerShell. If you're talking about executables outside of it, then yeah, I'm not really sure that's going to be different. So I wasn't sure which way your question was going. Have I helped at least or confused you more?
It's feel out of my element. It was very comfortable in my shell.
Well, again, the old.
So what I did was I took the command, put it into a variable, and then did that variable type get number, get number, and then I saw that because it was a string object, I could use split.
I'd forgotten about this since I haven't done this specifically, but I'm noticing right here at the bottom, it's also listing out the applications for you. And it is giving, I forgot that it would do that. I'm used to it just giving you basically the aliases, the functions, the commandlets. But in this case, it is listing out applications. And because my font is so large, it's off the screen, but it's showing you where to find it. Of course, you don't really need to know where to find it. You should be able to just start typing in these commands. So it is not as sophisticated, but yeah, there you go. There's good old find string. I use that one from time to time. Because of course in PowerShell you have the PS or to list processes. If you're looking for a specific process, you can pipe the results through find string to look for a part of it. There are other ways, but that's just one way of doing it. I mentioned I just like to know what's out there. The utilities are out there for me already. Okay, well I think I got to wrap it up. Any other last questions? Any other last comments? Okay, well thanks again everyone. Haha. Okay, so let's see. As mentioned, create your own cheat sheets. Web is helpful. And okay, there's me real quick. I like to consider myself a hacker in the old sense. I'm not one of those malicious people, but I found computers and I just wanted to learn everything I could about them. They were the new world to explore. I wanted to understand how it all works. Have I been in the gray areas every now and then? Yeah, I guess I probably have. Thank God for cybersecurity as a profession, so we get to be paid to do that. And I admit, a little while ago, I realized I must be a curmudgeon. Been there, done that, not too excited anymore. You got to convince me. I'm willing to listen, but you got to explain. You got to argue with me. And there you go, a personal statement. I won't preach. Thank you very much.
This talk was a part of our 2022 Secure West Virginia Licky 13 conference. If you would like more information about this talk or our speaker, check the description below. And if you enjoyed the content, consider liking and sharing this video. For more information on Secure West Virginia or you want to stay updated with the latest upcoming events, follow us on Twitter at SecureWVCon or visit our website, SecureWV.org. We would also like to thank our 2022 sponsors for being a huge part of Lucky 13's success.